once you know your cost, comparing it to others will allow you to make a plan going forward. Firstly, a plan on paper, and then putting it into action and monitoring that. And effectively, should be a clear, continual cycle. Within that, it's key to talk to people. Top of the list, talk to family members, discuss plans, discuss concerns. Talk to financial partners, your bank, other lenders, accountant. Get clear advice where needed. Discussion groups. I'm sure a number of you are members of discussion groups. Talking to other farmers. Invaluable to discuss things, and indeed, the old saying, "Problem shared is a problem halved." Well, discussing can help, and obviously also, do bring in professional advice where needed to help plan a way forward. So, in terms of knowing where you are and benchmarking, one of the services we offer is our profit manager, effectively a sort of detailed cost of production analysis, focusing on the dairy herd, and that can be applied within any mixed business to get down to the bottom line cost of production. So again, we'll come on to use that shortly. Before we get into detail, just a kind of, a few overall points. I've said there are different systems. Do challenge your system. Is what you're doing now the right thing going forward? Okay. We're not advocating everyone should be low input or everyone should be high output. Each system is specific to you, your skills, your resources, what works best for you. Within all those different systems, all of them can make money, all of them can lose money. The key is the effective management to make them work. Just a few other key points. It's important to produce what the market wants, produce to your milk bar requirements, but do beware of adding costs. Milk bars might want a level profile, but are they paying enough for that? Chasing and producing to a set seasonality, the danger is that the cost of getting there, the cost of producing milk at the most expensive times, cost you more than the benefit of the seasonality premiums. You'll see as we go through, it's key to target all costs. There'll be very few businesses where changing one thing will make the difference between profit and loss. It's small savings throughout that do add up. Dealing with suppliers, do negotiate on prices. Ask the question. Try and get a good deal. But definitely don't skimp on quality. Okay, getting that output is key. Budget and plan, we'll come on to. I've mentioned communication within that. It is planning is key. One thing definitely to try and avoid is delaying payments. Particularly, for example, someone like your contractor, whereby delaying payments will then mean that the service you get at a later date won't be as good. The last thing you want to do is drop down the contractor's list of, people to come to in order for first cut silage to then negatively affect, forage quality. So, there's a few sort of broad areas there. Keen to sort of get on to more specifics, and one of the areas that we'd like to focus on a little bit more is grazing and forage management, and I'll pass over to John to talk through that.
Thank you, Richard. Definitely an area to focus on. Grazing and forage management, hopefully, it's relevant to all actually, regardless of system. You're fully housed, it's going to be forage indoors and inside in forage. But a particularly relevant conversation at this time of year is obviously grazed grass. Richard mentioned some of the Kingshay services and the reports we produce. And one of those reports is our forage costing report, which comes out annually, just putting figures to what it costs to produce a litre of milk when you're using certain feeds. And for some time now, it's slightly out of line now, there's always been that rule of 3 times the cost of grazed grass and quality grazed grass, to 1 kilo of parlour concentrates. So what the emphasis on this slide is really, if you can produce an extra litre and manage your grass well and have a good layer of grass, you have the ability to replace a kilo of bought-in concentrates. That's really the focus of what I'm shortly going to talk about. And obviously on there, at the same time as replacing bought-in concentrates, obviously the whole milk from forage picture. You know, can you grow higher quality maize this time of year, focusing on the quality of first cut, communications with contractors, etc. There's also that important there when I talk about the quality of the grazed grass. You have with white clover there at 3.8 pence a litre, which is the headline figure, but older pastures, which are limited in yield, take the same inputs, cost up to 5.9 pence a litre. When you compare that now, that old quality grass to Brewers Grains wheat, you're not far out. So, you know, focusing the mind, yes, I'm talking about grazed grass, but it's where you apply those inputs. Is it worth applying higher inputs to poor quality swards, etc.? Perhaps a long-term vision to improve pastures doesn't help in the short term, but you know, the majority of farms have got some kind of rotation where they can make use of good quality grass. So by using that, what does that mean? What does the highest cost of production herds produce? What are the parameters? What are we aiming for? Well, within our costings, which we have 1,800 herds on costings, the top guys in the highest 25% of herds, they're achieving nearly 4,000 litres from forage. That's where we want to be. That's achievable. That's a target. The lowest are on 1,200. Well, come on. There's significant increase there. This is really talking about the same system as well. Yes, there's a massive ability there within herds. Yes, it's part of a country where people are, certain people have different advantages, maybe even the cow, the type of farm, the type of land, but there's still that potential. You know, these won't all be on really good farms, for example. So there's potential saving there, but crunching the numbers on that, using purchase feed costs 5.8 pence per litre for this guy, there's a saving of 2.92 pence a litre, 3 pence a litre saving, the ability there. You know, that's achievable. In terms of what that means to 150 cow, £37,000 saving in a year. Milk from forage pays. Kingsay have been talking about that forever, and we'll carry on talking about that because it pays. Those that have used our costings, this is quite an easy way to see how people can progress. This chart is missing its nice green band through here, but when you have a costings report from us, it actually puts in, so where are you on the milk map? If you're feeding 3 tonne of concentrates and producing 8,000 litres, actually within that band it's potential to feed 2 tonnes of concentrates. People are doing it. That is the band where people sit. It's about moving along, you know, moving backwards along that band through management, really. That management, particularly this time of year, is focusing on the management of grazed grass and the potential, you know, to achieve that milk from the grazed grass. A1 management, it's been seen. You see now people analysing the grass throughout the year, achieving 12.5 megajoules consistently. That is difficult. That is extremely difficult. But this red line here, what difference does that make? Yes, it's a challenge, but if you can just apply the principles and start to learn, if you haven't done, you know, I have no idea what systems you guys are running here today, but just as an example to push for more milk from grass, what can be achieved just with a good level of management, achieving, you know, 11.5, 12 ME.
So how do you get 12
throughout the year?
12.5 ME grass in January and February?
Through January and February,
Yeah.
when you're talking through management, through shutting it up well, through consistent management throughout the year, and even at that time of year, the proteins of that grass would even be some of the highest that can be. They haven't been dunged. The utilisation is so much better. I challenge, how do you get it further in a year when, you know, that's even harder? That's relatively easy coming out of if you shut the covers up correctly in the autumn, coming into the spring. But in the most difficult time, I would say, is this dip here, when you've managed grass and, you know, even the good really struggle through that period. You know, we're coming into a period now where, quite frankly, any idiot can manage grass. But it's what you do now which impacts upon the rest of the year. That is, you know, that's significant. But not only, there's a double whammy with grass. If you don't manage it, the cows won't eat it. So we really want to manage it to get them to eat it, even if we don't want to achieve anything else. If we don't believe in the ME figures, this is work that's been done, I believe it's Hillsborough that did this work, that, the lower the dry matter, well, it's obvious, isn't it? Because it's stemmy, it's more lignin in it, the lower the dry matter intake potential. So you won't get milk from forage regardless, because the cows are not only is it going to be lower quality, the cows won't eat it. Just by improving to that level, you're going to increase the potential for dry matter intake on that grass. Yeah, it's 20 kilos dry matter intake. That's where we want to be, around the 14 to 15 kilos dry matter intake through the season. When you're managing grass, you can achieve that. I love this slide. I could spend all night and just talk to you about this slide all night. Because this is about grass. This is the lovely grass plant, and we are after that third leaf when we're managing grass. And I really hope and believe that there'll be guys in the room that are managing grass in this way to achieve. We're going into covers of 2,800. Hopefully, going forward, we've been managing lower covers before that. This is the time of year where we have the potential. We may have been grazing to the third leaf already, but at lower covers. We are going to go into covers of 2,800. I'm kind of jumping ahead talking about covers because I'm really enthusiastic. It's about measuring with a plate meter. So that cover, it's when the New Zealanders, the guys in New Zealand wouldn't bother about covers and talking about that. They're talking about the third leaf because they understand that 45% of yield comes from that third leaf. If you don't graze that third leaf, you're going to lose yield. On a set stocking system, you're going to lose yield. So let's get it to that, have that 2.5 to 3 leaf system. And when we nailed that, we understand that we want the third leaf, then we want to manage that quality. There's no point just nipping off the third leaf and not taking it down. We want to graze down to the 1,500 residual. That's what we want to do, but can we achieve that? I'm also a dairy farmer. I've managed cows for many years, but the lovely Holstein cow, if I try and achieve 1,500 for that, I'm not going to get her in calf. That is extremely restrictive on the system, and I really believe that's why it's fallen down with a lot of farmers, with what I'd say the majority of farmers really. So there's a compromise there. When I'm talking to clients, it's more like managing to a 1,700 residual and artificial reinstatement down to the 1,500 periodically. That could be another group of stock, mowing, tactical silage making. But yes, I've got that 1,500 on there because it has to be. That is the aim, but it's understanding the restrictions that the system applies, really. It's having that rotational system. Standard. You talk about a 21-day rotation. Is it 21 days? Can it be 21 days? I don't think so, because this is the speed of grass growth in this period. So we may be down to 15 days. Here we'll be down up to 40 days. So rotational grazing over different periods throughout the year. It's all about that. If you get nothing, if there's people in this room tonight and you're dairy farmers and you graze cows and you haven't got a plate meter, if I could get you to do one thing, it would be to do that. Join a discussion group. It would transform your farm, give you that ability to save, the beginning slide I'm talking about in terms of the 9 pence a litre pile of concentrates and the 3.8 pence a litre for that grass grass. We're feeding the wedge. It's about the wedge. Once you've measured the grass, you're inputting the data into whatever you choose to use. Could be AgriNet, could be an Excel spreadsheet. But you're after creating this wedge. You've constantly got this 2,800 this time of year going forward. And there'll be ways, it doesn't happen like that. You don't just go around your farming, you suddenly got this. Sometimes a year you've got an explosion of grass. So you tactically take out paddocks, take some silage, perhaps to feed another time. And other times you're not meeting that. So you have to, as I would term it, feed the wedge. So that could be, ideally with, other fields, for example, take them out of silage rotation, or could be extra pile of concentrates for a period, or additional forage for that period. But, once you've used a plate meter, we're on to what I would say, feed the wedge all the time, the feed wedge. You have to join a discussion group. To just go and have a plate meter and wander around on your own, you'd be lost and it'd be like I meet people, I'll get out the shed, it's been in there 2 years. You need other people, other farmers to share your data with, to give you that discipline. And with that comes generally, facilitated by consultants like myself, it's real cheap consultancy. You've got a group of 10 farmers or 6 farmers or whatever, meeting once a month, learning off each other. It can be applied. It's not about just the Kiwi system. The mainstream farmer can adopt his principles and really use them.
Earlier I said, yeah, one of the things that's key is to, challenge your system, but also challenge what suppliers are delivering to you. Now that includes your vet. Wait, these guys at the back up. Do challenge your vet on what they're supplying you and the costs. But be very aware of the costs of poor herd health, okay, and what's hidden within that. But just take one example to start with, mastitis cases. So firstly, this is from our health manager figures, mastitis cases per 100 cows. There's been a reasonable steady drop in cases over the past 5 years. There's a lot of data out there, but it's on surveys, so someone will ask each farmer how many cases of mastitis they have, and often they'll say what they ought to have, not what they actually have. There's a huge range within that, but the average is 50. There is, what I'm saying, it's positive trends coming down. But what's the cost of mastitis? So you've got the cash costs, you've got what you see. So you've got the treatment and vet costs, discarded milk. Okay, that adds up to £113 per case with our estimation, but the reality is that's less than 40% of the total. Add the other costs, so the ongoing reduced milk yield. So, a cow gets mastitis, milk yield drops, never quite gets back to where she was before. Some cows with mastitis will need to be replaced, so there's added replacement costs. Plus, there's your own labour for treating, for dealing with that, mastitis case. So overall, there's a cost there of £288 a case. So that's before other associated costs such as lower fertility, ongoing higher cell counts, other further milk loss, price penalties, etc. Take that case at 288. If we take Mr. Average with 50 cases, if target him to reduce cases to what the top 25% are doing, which is not 50 cases per 100 cows, but 21 cases per 100 cows, that's worth over 8,000 per 100 cows. Again, when you're looking at costs and looking at trimming expenditure back, we'd suggest there's some areas where it's dangerous to trim back costs. And if you are going to put time and effort into things, it's looking at what can be done to reduce health costs. We talked about monitoring. This is one of our reports within Dairy Manager, within our Health Manager package, that gives the option to give a clear ongoing monitor. So this is a herd level analysis. I'm sure most of you will record mastitis cases either within your NMR interherd or within CIS. This simply takes an export from that, records it on an ongoing basis. So here you can see mastitis cases, individual farm figures, this year in green, last year in blue, with the group average in red. So again, it gives a clear report for yourselves, for other team members, for your vet consultant to work with. Also, we put pens and pence on it. Again, often there's nothing better to sort of focus the mind on areas that need some attention. Putting pens and pence on, bring it down to a cost per cow, pence per litre basis, and then benchmarking to others, can help to sort of, for a starter, to plan a way forward. So that's mastitis. Again, just taking the same principle, looking at other health areas. So here we've got the average number of cases per 100 cows on not just mastitis, lameness, milk fever, etc. and what top 25% are recording within our database. Calculate an estimated cost per case for each of those, and then look at an individual moving from the average to the top 25%. If you add all these value of the differences up, that comes to 17,000 there for over 17,500 for 100 cow herd. That works out at 2.2 pence a litre. again, lots of sort of detail to get to that, but that, just to sort of put things in perspective of that cost of poor herd health. And we've got, plenty of case studies of, farms that work with their vet, work with their foot trimmer to actually improve things going more forward. Often means spending more in the short term. Short, medium term means investing, but it's something that gets a relatively good return on that investment.